The following is a production of Notch 6 Media.
It's the Notch 6 online podcast, episode number 54. While we may not be at York this time, we have all of the news from Lionel that you need to know, and you're going to get it here first from Notch 6. Put on your seatbelts, folks. It's going to be a wild ride, and it's all ahead on this special York edition of Notch 6.
This is the Notch 6 online podcast. Notch 6 is the podcast dedicated to O-gauge trains. Whether you're collecting, operating, or just getting started, Notch 6 is your home for O-gauge news, events, and interviews. Now here is your host, Derek Thomas.
Well, welcome into this special edition of Notch 6, episode number 54. Notch 6 is brought to you each and every episode by our friends at Trains.com. That's Trains spelled with a D. A D? Did I just say a D? I mean a Z. It's Trains spelled with a Z. Trainz.com. Our friends at Trains, you can pick up just about anything you need in the world of O-gauge, and they will be at York in the Orange Hall. If you're not going to York, make sure you hop on to the website Trains.com, and you can get your O-gauge buying fix. Just about anything you can find at York, you can find at Trains.com. Make sure to check them out. Welcome into this special episode of Notch 6. These are the kind of episodes that I love to do because we get to bring you all of the great news from York, and you don't even have to pack up your car and go. So right ahead, we have Mike Reagan and Matt Ashba from Lionel, two voices that you're very familiar with, and they have quite a bit of news to share with you. Mike is going to cover what I'm going to refer to as the track and power section, although there is more than that in there. And then we have some special announcements coming from Mr. Ashba, and there's some surprises in here. Let's put it that way. So hang tight here just a second. We'll get the file queued up with Mike Reagan, and you'll hear all about the Lionel York 2015 Spring Track and Power announcements here in just a second on Notch 6.
You're listening to Notch 6 from the TCA Train Show in York, Pennsylvania. Here's your host, Derek Thomas.
Welcome back to the Notch 6 online podcast, York edition, spring 2015, and transitioning from his remote location, currently in North Carolina, and direct to the Notch 6 studios here in Indiana, Mike Reagan. Mike, how are you?
Good, Derek. How you doing, bud?
I can't complain. So it's another York, and when I emailed a couple of weeks ago and just kind of, you throw things out there, you say, hey, are we going to have anything to talk about? And I got an email response back that said, yeah, we're going to have something to talk about. I was a little bit surprised, but based on the docket you've given me here, we've got some cool stuff to talk about for what normally is a pretty quiet time of year for Lionel.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's just do it this way. Let's just talk about really boring stuff, and we can go ahead and work on getting Notch 6 moved down on the frequent listener list to like 16 or something. We can go that way. I'm okay with that.
No, I like exciting product announcements. It's what makes this show fun, and it's kind of a little bit of a rush. We've been lucky enough that we were the first ones to post about the Vision Line Big Boy right after the TCA museum presentation a couple of years ago, and it's just fun to be on the front of these things, and we're appreciative that you guys let us do that. And so let's go ahead and let's dive right into your news for York for 2015. Let's start with Plug and Play Accessories. What's going on there that folks need to know about?
Well, there's a couple things going on. Number one, we'll actually have some samples of it at York to show off. So if you guys are going to attend York, make sure you stop by the booth and check it out. Plug and Play is pretty slick. It's really designed for the entry-level user, someone who's just getting into the hobby, and wiring is a bit overwhelming for them, or at least scary at some point. So it's interesting what I've learned about. We've got folks down here in the office that work on the NASCAR side of things that have really had very little to no exposure to trains, and watching their reaction when we tell them, oh yeah, just strip the wire and connect it here, and just the sheer fright that's in their eyes about actually having to touch something that conducts electricity. The safety commissions in the world have done a super job of scaring the snot out of people when it comes to anything that they don't understand. So The plug-and-play system is really just about, making it simpler for the entry-level user who's not familiar with stripping wires and especially soldering or, anything to do with the electrical world. So basically what it is, it's a 3-pin male connector on all of our accessories. Now, we haven't excluded our core hobby people, customers, the ones that are familiar with wiring. The accessories actually come with a three-position female connector, like an 8-inch lead on it. It's got some pigtailed ends, so it effectively replaces the Tinnerman clips underneath accessories and the thumb screws. So it's all hardwired on the accessory. It's got this male 3-pin connector that can be used to plug into what we call a plug-and-play lock-on. Inserts in the side of the track, gets its power from track power. So all these accessories are designed to work with 18 volts AC or 18 volts DC. Most anything that had a lamp has been upgraded to either an 18-volt lamp or it's been upgraded to an LED, so we don't have any overheating issues. 3 wires, red, black, and white. Red's the center rail, black's the outside rail, and white is the insulated grounds or insulated outside rail. So it takes wiring a gate man for a first-time user, literally take it out of the box, plug it into the track, run the train, gate man works. Control towers, you name it. We're pretty much all of our accessories moving forward will have this plug-and-play capability with it, which is really just this 3-foot-long umbilical cord with the 3 conductors on the end, and then we've got some other things that go into play with it. We've got a multi-function control box, which is a completely new design. It has a switch on it, allows you to turn the accessory on and off, and then when you push down on the switch in either the on or the off position, it provides momentary contact. So kind of a cool little design we worked on down here. Kind of reminiscent of the post-war style for the packaging of the switch box itself. That'll be included with some accessories. It'll be available separately. And then the lock-ons themselves, we have just a piece of 10-inch straight track that has this lock-on on the side with a little power indicator that you can plug the accessory into. So if you just have something simple like a lighted structure, instead of stripping the wires and connect it to an accessory transformer, you just plug it right into the track and done. Building lights up as soon as you turn on track power. And then, of course, with the LionChief system, it's fixed voltage on the track, so all the accessories keep a constant intensity. We've got the second type of lock-on we have is the accessory activator, which is pretty much the same as our 12020, I believe is the part number. That might be the uncoupling track. Might be a little foggy here. But at any rate, the accessory activator pack is just 2 5-inch straight tracks with an insulated outside rail, and then an insulated straight with the lock-on on it. And so all your crossing gates, gate man, any of your accessories that are activated by train presence, snap these 3 pieces of track together. It replaces 2 10-inch sections of fast track. Plug your gate man in, you're good to go. And then the third and final lock-on we have is what we call a multi-port lock-on. And it basically offers 3 ports, 3 of these standardized 3-pin connectors to plug accessories into, but it also comes with a barrel jack on it. So you can take an accessory transformer of any type, plug it into this barrel jack, and then there's a switch on the side where you can select between track power or auxiliary power. So it really is a product that caters to the new consumer, the new user of the product. But with that umbilical cord that comes in there, it still pays homage to the Uber user of the past or current. So you can wire it up any way you have before, and for the new user, it really becomes more of a service tool than anything. If ever you need to service the accessory, just unplug the umbilical cord, take it off, do your servicing, bring it back. You don't have 3 or more wires hanging out on the layout, sticking up above your table with blue, green, and yellow, and what did all these go to? And you hook it up, and you fry the accessory again. So that's something we'll have at York. We're pretty excited about it. Seems to be pretty well received by the consumers. This, as we go into the holiday season in 15, will really be the true test of it, because the product will be in the marketplace, and kind of helps simplify the wiring.
Absolutely, and anything we can do to make the hobby easier for people to understand, and it's interesting to hear the experience with the NASCAR folks in the building, but what a great test market. I mean, folks that have never been exposed to it, what a great way to learn is to test it on folks that don't have the first idea, and that's who we're aiming at with starter sets and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got to, the discussion always comes up in the industry, how do we get new people into the hobby? And everyone's got an idea, and this really at the end of the day is our idea. Let's take something that in our world, world that you and I live in, this is pretty simple. We've been known to take a pair of scissors and strip an electrical cord to, connected to a 120 volt plug we bought at a home supply store to get our transformer working. God forbid these people see a pair of scissors and wire. He's a madman. Get away, run away, children. So hopefully take a little bit of the anxiety out of it, and make it a little bit easier for folks to experience the product in a new way.
Absolutely. Moving on to something that was introduced during our last catalog show that has been really well received and has generated a lot of excitement in the industry is the Lionel 21-inch ABS plastic passenger cars. Tell me what's going on with those cars that you need to share.
Well, we've got all the designs finalized. That unfortunately, we went to catalog. Not all the designs were 100% finished, so those are in the bag. A couple things I've heard from folks that I just want to clear the air on. A lot of folks have been asking if they're going to come with figures, and they're not actually going to include any figures at all. So then, of course, the next question that comes up is, well, how much of a pain in the butt is it going to be to put figures in it? The great thing is it's literally 6 Phillips head screws, and the bottom of the car drops out from the shell. You can put as many figures in there as you want. 6 screws to put it back together, you're done.
Wow.
I think one of the things I failed to mention on that catalog show is that, in the tradition that we've started now moving forward with all our scale freight cars, is those passenger cars will have the kinematic couplers like we discussed, so we can get around an 054 curve, and we got close coupling on straightaways. Those cars are also going to have the Katie coupler mounting box as well, or scale coupler mounting box. So for those guys out there that like converting all their cars over to scale couplers, we just made converting 21-inch passenger cars really easy. It's literally, 2 screws per coupler box to mount it to the car, and you're done. So that's another trick thing that we've got coming in, and I don't think that was really talked about much in the catalog, and I'm pretty sure that I missed it on the catalog preview session. So that just like I said, just wanted to kind of clear the air about that. Now the baggage cars on the 21-inch passenger car sets, just so everyone's aware, your baggage car is going to be 18 inches, and your passenger cars are going to be 21. And the reason we're doing that is we're trying to replicate the scale length. So most of your baggage cars were 72, and the passenger cars were, of course, longer. So you'll be able to replicate that with the models that we're making.
Very nice, and yeah, that's a good tradition to start with the baggage cars in terms of it was done by K-Line with their 21-inch cars, so it's nothing new to the industry, but it's correct, and that follows this new goal of getting stuff right, and that I know that's the goal of the product management team down there, especially when we're dealing with scale, freight, and passenger cars, is it needs to be right, and with folks like Ryan paying attention to the details, we see that happening more and more often. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to, I guess we've already touched a little bit on track and power, but this is really going to be a track and power episode. But when you mentioned this to me before the show started, I'm excited to hear about this. All right, we've got some news about the IR sensor tracks, which is a big deal to the Legacy guys. And for those of you who haven't paid a lot of attention to it yet, start paying attention, because this is going to be cool, and it's going to change the way we do things again. So take it away on what you've got for us.
Okay. So last year we released the LCS sensor track, which features some IR receivers that are very carefully and scientifically placed between the rails to integrate with our locomotives that have the track IR device on it. And one of the complaints, or not complaints, but feedback that we've heard from customers is, well, I don't have fast track, but I want to use this technology. What do I do? Of course, there was always the opportunity to take two pieces of transition track, put it in, and you can use it with whatever track system you want. But, we had some discussions internally, and we decided to move forward with an LCS sensor track that just had O-gauge pin, effectively the O-gauge tubular track side of the transition track. So it still comes in the fast track style road bed, but on either end we don't have the fast track proprietary connector system. We've got the pins in there that will allow it to couple with either tubular O-gauge track, or if you have any other track system, Guardrage or Ross or whatever, they all make tubular O-gauge adapter pins. So if you're using Guardrage, put the O-gauge adapter pin into the sensor track, and then you've got your Guardrage pin to go into that tube track, etc. So trying to accommodate everybody out there in what they have on their layout so that they can experience the technology, and do it in such a way that it doesn't increase our liability in the marketplace by giving away PCBs to this manufacturer or that manufacturer. And the reason we did all that is because the placement of that IR device under the track is really critical. If it's off by just a few millimeters, the reliability kind of goes out the window. So just something new that we'll have coming down the pike. It'll be cataloged in the 2015 C2 catalog. So please, guys, don't start calling and asking when it's going to be available. It'll be available at the end of the year. You'll see it in the catalog in August or September when we release it. But I gotta share a funny story with you. We talk about I talk about the wiring experience with the NASCAR side of the house, and we were back in the engineering layout running this, and I'm not going to mention who it was, but he walks in the room, and I'm like, hey, check this out. So I'm running a 460 that had just come in, a pre-production or a production sample had just come in from overseas, and I took my Legacy remote and I put it in cab 1 mode. And I'm running the engine, and I'm like, so I only get what I get when I blow the whistle. I can't quill it, and I only got 32 speed steps, etc. And I ran it over. We have 4 sensor tracks in the layout, and I ran it over the sensor track. And I'm like, now I want you to watch the train, watch the remote. And as soon as the engine ran over the track, suddenly the remote changed, and it changed in meaning that all of the data that comes out of the memory module, or that normally comes out of the memory module, immediately loaded up into the cab, because the IR transmitter in the locomotive sent its data down to the sensor track. That sensor track sent it back to the base, immediately updated the base, and the cab suddenly jumped into legacy mode with all the proper settings under the engine menu, and then I had quilling whistle and 200 speed steps and all the legacy feature sets. And he looks at me and he says, "Oh, so really what you have here is stupid mode." I'm like, yeah, that's what I got. You think we can market it that way? I don't think you'll see any ads coming soon with LCS sensor track allows you to access stupid mode, but I figure the listeners would really appreciate that.
That's good. And I tell you what, sometimes there needs to be a stupid mode, and I tell you what, I'm sure there's an appropriate response for this, but I can't find it right now.
Yeah,
so we're just going to
appropriate for the podcast. No, moving.
Let's just move on to the other big news that you have for the sensor tracks or related to the sensor tracks. And I'm excited to hear about this because I'm as in the dark right now as everybody else is. You have told me there is an IR sensor car coming. What is it? What does it do? Where can I get one?
Okay, so one of the demonstrations that we'll have at the show at York is this new IR sensor car. And without giving away too much, it basically is this. All the legacy locomotives that we've produced since about November of 2011 on are equipped with this track IR device that does several things. One, it offers stupid mode. Two, it transmits pertinent data into the sensor track, such as fuel levels, if it's a diesel, fuel and water levels, if it's a steam engine. It triggers certain recordings that you have in the sensor track that you've made using the sensor track. But we got to thinking about, what do we do with the guys out there who have legacy locomotives, like from late 2007, early 2008 on up until November of 11? What do those guys do? Or even further back, pre-2008, all the guys that have TMCC1 locomotives who really can't use the sensor track to its full capability. How do we fix that? And so, retrofitting it really isn't an option because of just the sheer complexity of the system itself and what's actually happening inside. So what we've done is we've created an IR car, and basically it'll be produced in the form of a traditional O-gauge box car and also a scale piece of rolling stock box car. And this will ultimately allow the consumer to take the shell off of a car that they have, if they so choose, put a different shell on it, or use it as it comes out of the package. And it's equipped with an IR sensor. So you can couple it behind your TMCC1 or your non-IR sensor equipped legacy locomotives and get all the benefits of the sensor track capabilities out of earlier locomotives. So, like I said, I don't want to give away too much, and I'll have more details for those who want to know at York. I don't know if people are aware of the Legacy user group that happens Friday mornings at York, but I think it's Alexander's Restaurant, 8 a.m. on Friday morning. If you guys want to come. Yep. The only bad part is it's 8 a.m. Friday morning at York, but we show up every year and do a little Q&A, answer some questions, and I try to provide a little comedic relief. Some of those guys get a little too serious at times. And,
I was going to say, it wouldn't be breakfast without at least insulting a few people, but...
Well, yeah. I don't know that I'm insulted, but we are definitely having fun. I mean, at the end of the day, it's one big family, so you know how family functions are. If you can't have someone at the family making fun of someone else, what's the point in going?
Pretty much. And to speak to the Legacy users group, if you have an interest in the Legacy system and you want to be on the cutting edge of what's coming in the system, we discuss things at that breakfast that aren't going to get discussed other places unless you're asking very specific and directed questions. So a great resource. Alexander's, 8 o'clock Friday morning. Get there a little bit early. It's almost always full, and prepare to learn.
Yeah, right on. So, like I said, we'll have a demo of the sensor car there, and we'll be showing it off at the booth. The different presentations we do at the booth throughout the day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But just for those guys out there that have asked, what do I do if I have this? Well, now you know.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's good news for those of us who do have, engines or, that don't have that sensor. And so a nice step in the right direction with that. To wrap up, well, not to wrap up, but to kind of conclude our track and power episode of York, because that's what it's turning into. But this is a good thing because we're addressing things today that people have asked about for a while. So it's good to see that these concerns are being addressed and needs are being filled. Let's talk about the replacement for the TPC track power controllers. You've got some information on that.
Yeah. So one of the questions I'm asked a lot when I attend the shows is, and even when I talk to customers, what do I do? Where do I get a TPC, a track power controller? And, just so those listening understand what it is, TPC, track power controller, allows you safe application of more than 10 amps to the track. So pretty much the biggest power supply out there is a 10 amp power supply. It's produced by us, 180 watt powerhouse, which we'll talk about in a minute. But 10 amps is about the limit of applying power to the track safely. Now, what I mean by that is you can apply power to the track unsafely to where you can, start your own home-based welding business. I don't know why you'd want to weld your trains to the track, but there are people out there like that. So the TPC is discontinued. It's based on the older TMCC1 technology. And for a couple of years now, we haven't really talked about it in the catalog or promoted it. But what we're doing is we're replacing it with a 360-watt Legacy PowerMaster. It'll allow you to plug in either 280-watt powerhouse bricks or 235-watt powerhouse bricks. It's important to note that you never want to mix them. You don't want to mix 135s and 180s. So either you get 15 amps or you get 20 amps of power to the track safely. Again, this is an item that will be cataloged in 15C2. It'll be available probably December of this year is when it'll start shipping. And again, it's just to replace the TPC. It receives the 455 kilohertz signal from the base, so there's no hard wiring like there was on the TPC where you had the daisy chain back to the serial port. This thing picks up RF signal right off the track, so you can use it with TMCC1 system. You can use it with a legacy system, and it basically, like I said, replaces that whole TPC era of products. And then the 180-watt powerhouse, like I touched on, those haven't been available in the marketplace since May of last year. They're probably not going to be available till the end of 15, early 16. And the reason for that is we've undertaken a task of redesigning the circuit breaker in it to make it more efficient. Previous iterations of the powerhouse was as soon as you had a short, boom, circuit breaker on the powerhouse popped. And over time, that kind of gets annoying if you have a layout that you generate a lot of shorts on. You got to continually go back and reset that circuit breaker. So new circuit breaker circuit in the powerhouse will be much more reliable. It'll wait for the device that it's connected to take care of the circuit breaker, the circuit break. Meaning, if it's a 360-watt PowerMaster, Legacy PowerMaster, you got a short on the track, the PowerMaster will pull the power back. It'll wait for the short to go away, and then power will be reapplied, as opposed to the circuit breaker on the powerhouse popping. So, I know some folks out there have probably had the question and haven't asked or haven't gotten a straight answer, but that's the straight skinny from Lionel at this point.
Very cool, and it's a long walk back to the control panel on my layout, and I hate to admit how many derailments occur on my layout, but that's a welcome piece of news from my standpoint because it's nice to hear. So it sounds like there's kind of going to be a watchdog signal on this thing now that it's continually checking, okay, is the short gone, and as soon as I clear it up, it's going to bring power back. Is that right?
Well, yeah, you're going to have to address it, right? You have to address track, whatever. And,
okay.
Now, in improvement over the original PowerMaster, I think the original PowerMaster, you can only have single-digit addressing. So it was track 1 through track 9, and you were done. Just like the Legacy PowerMaster offers, you can do a single or double digit addressing. So, you can make it track 10 through track 99 if you want. But, yeah,
very nice.
You have to address it. Track 11, aux 1, or track 11 boost, if you have it set to command mode, so it just puts 18 volts on the track. And then it also does all the functions of what the TPC did, right? So you can have it in conventional mode position, turn the throttle and increase your track voltage, decrease your track voltage, etc. And one of the great things about it is it takes all your smooth sine wave transformers. So if you're using, and I don't know why you'd want to use a post-war ZW with a 360-watt PowerMaster, but let's assume you do. It'll take that smooth sine wave and it'll turn it into a chop sine wave on the track. So performance of smoke units will be a lot better, especially for guys out there that are running products conventionally.
Very good. I tell you what, a nice bit of news. Like I said, nothing earth-shattering in terms of no big locomotive announcements or anything like that, but products that we're talking about for this York that are necessary products that'll improve performance. I'll give you the floor here for a second. Anything else that you want to talk about here that we haven't mentioned yet?
Yeah, well, when you talk to Matt, he's going to give you the earth-shattering locomotive announcements. Matt
there you go.
Matt and I decided to change it up a little bit and let him take over some other topics, and I'd take some of the the doldrum technology questions for him. So,
you can't always be the star.
Yeah, that's right. Especially after being defeated by all those kindergarten kids, it's really taken the wind out of my sails.
Yeah, I need to mention that. If you haven't seen the video yet, I believe it's posted on the Lionel Facebook page. It's been reposted on the O-Gauge Railroading Forum, on O-Gauge Railroading Facebook. It's been reposted a lot of different places. It's Mike Reagan takes on a class full of kindergartners, and the results are not to be missed. So make sure you go out and look for that. I think most folks that listen to the show have seen it, but if you haven't, you need to go find it. It's worth watching.
Thanks.
All right, Mike. Have a great York. It's good to talk to you, and I'm sure we'll talk to you. Actually, I know we'll talk to you here maybe at the end of May, but we haven't announced that yet. And we'll definitely talk to you this summer in Boston.
All right, sounds good, Derek. I'll see you and see you at the booth.
Some neat announcements from Mike Reagan and the Lionel team regarding track, power, and the Legacy system for York 2015. We're going to take just a break here for a second because I want to intro this next segment just a little bit. You're going to hear me talk about it in the next segment, but I actually traveled up to Detroit, Michigan to conduct some other business, which you'll hear about here in a future episode. But going up to Detroit, I was able to stop by Lionel's remaining office in the Michigan area. And I tell you what, I was really, really surprised to see the level of scope, I guess would be the right word, that is still left in Michigan. Folks in the art department, the electrical engineering department, just a great team left at Lionel in Michigan, and you'll hear me talk about that. But wanted to let you know that I was able to take some pictures while I was in Detroit at the Lionel offices of some of the new product that we're going to talk about here in just a second. For exclusive photos of those products, you need to go check out notch6.com. That's NOTCH and the number 6, all one word, notch6.com. All of the photos that I took will be posted there at the same time that this episode goes live, so you can see photos of what we are talking about as you listen to it. We're going to take one more break here real quick, and you're going to hear from our friends at the Lionel Collectors Club of America about their upcoming Boston convention. I have made my reservations. My entire family is going out to Boston this time, and we're going to bring you another great week of coverage from the Lionel Collectors Club of America National Convention. It has been a great time the last 2 years, and I just see it becoming a hallmark of this show that we do this every year. We get some of the best news, some of the best interviews that we do all year. So anyhow, if you want to join in on the fun, listen to this message from the Lionel Collectors Club of America. Visit the website at lionelcollectors.org and get in on the fun here in Boston. We'll be back in just a second with Matt Ashba on Notch 6.
The LCCA invites you to attend their 45th annual convention July 20th through the 25th in Danvers, Massachusetts. If you like Lionel Trains, LCCA commemorative products, real trains, and want to tour the Boston area, you won't want to miss this spectacular event. We have great tours scheduled for the whole family to enjoy. Don't delay, join the club and reserve your spot today.
This is Notch 6, your first source for breaking news and in-depth interviews in the world of O-Gauge.
Well, welcome back to the Notch 6 online podcast. Through the magic of time and space, suddenly I have gotten off the line with Mike Reagan, and I have transported myself to the offices of Lionel just outside of Detroit, Michigan, and I'm sitting here with Matt Ashba. Matt, welcome back to the program. Just when you thought the fun was over, we have more fun in store.
Well, it's great to see you and talk with you, Derek.
I tell you what, just not to spend a lot of time on this, but you know, I think the thought of a lot of people is Lionel is gone out of Michigan. There's nothing left. And walking into this building today, I'll admit I was really surprised. There is a great team of folks here at Lionel, and it's a lot of the people that never get credit for some of the things that happen behind the scenes. And just the level of work that goes on in this building and some of the things I've seen in the past half hour here are just incredible. And so kudos to you, kudos to your team here in Michigan that are obviously working very, very hard behind the scenes to make the products that we love so much.
Well, thanks a lot, Derek. It's obviously a beehive of activity at any of the centers for Lionel. And I think as a team, we all do really well working with each other. And I think as you see, even down to the little details, every little detail has to be thought out, and every detail takes time. And I think we have the right group for Lionel to accomplish some great things.
Absolutely. So fear not, O-Gauge fans. Lionel Trains is alive and well in the great state of Michigan and does not appear to be going anywhere anytime soon. So, all right. So during the last segment, I talked with Mike, and I kind of wrapped up by saying, well, that's all the fun we have for this. And so I walk in, and Matt goes, no, you haven't seen anything yet. And so we have a couple of really cool things to talk about, some things that completely came out of left field and surprised even me. Let's start with Lionel's 115th anniversary. This is a big deal for you guys, and you guys have found this hallmark product to celebrate 115 years of making some of the best trains in O-Gauge. Tell me about this new product you guys have that you're going to debut at York.
Yeah, you bet. You've had an early look at this new piece that we have to celebrate, as you mentioned, the 115th anniversary of Lionel in 2015. And this is going to be a limited release locomotive. It's a scale Berkshire, and it's painted, or excuse me, it's plated in a manner that we have never done before. And it's called, for us, we refer to this as nanoplating. Yeah, so what we have, Derek, is our scale Berkshire Legacy locomotive. And if you recall from the catalogs of recent Berkshires we've done, this does come with the steam whistle feature. So this has all of the great features that you have for our scale Legacy steam locomotives. But this nanoplating that these engines are treated with, you got a chance to preview it yourself, and I think that you probably agree with me that it is a very, very handsome locomotive.
Handsome is an understatement. Going back in the Lionel history, there hasn't been a finish on a locomotive like this since 2000, since the gold Hudsons were done. And this finish, and you'll be able to see pictures on our website, notch6.com. The finish is a gorgeous silver finish, and it looks like gold plating, or in this case silver plating. It's incredibly smooth, it's slick, it's shiny, and with the 115th anniversary heralds on it, this is a sharp locomotive. And tell me a little bit about the process, because as we were sitting there looking at the locomotive, you mentioned that there's only going to be so many of these done, and you kind of explained why that is. Tell me about the process of getting these locomotives plated like this.
Yeah, I don't deal with them directly, obviously, but getting information from the production group in back and forth communication, I quickly realized how complex it is to do these properly. There's been a lot of work involved in finding the right people who can do this process in an expert manner. And the bottom line is there are 5 or 6 different layers of coating that goes on these. In the first 4, let's say, are that nanoplating, and then you have a baking process, and then there's a lacquer coating at the end. Now, it's not an easy process, and the number that I received recently was that when things are running ideally, they can do 10 pieces a day.
So we're talking about a piece that is going to be very, 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 very scarce, and I don't use that word lightly, because there are a lot of tough and scarce pieces in this industry. But you guys are talking about a locomotive that's going to take a while to fill whatever number you guys are going to do, and they're going to go quick.
They're going to go quick, yes.
So let's talk a bit about, the locomotive's going to debut at York. What's going to be the process for reserving one of these locomotives? Is this something that's going to be cataloged and then you're going to fill orders through dealers, or how have you guys decided on a method yet for taking orders for this locomotive?
I think that will be explained at York, and I believe it will not be included in the next catalog. I think that we're going to find a different route for getting these orders out.
Okay.
So the bottom line will be, once it's announced, I presume at that moment, you probably want to talk to your dealer and reserve one. And then when the information is passed on to them about that process, their engine will be on hold for them.
Very cool. I tell you what, and just seeing this engine, like I said, it's rare anymore that a piece comes into the industry. And like I said, the last time, any kind of engine has been finished like this that I can recall was the 2000 Gold Hudsons. And even those were done in moderate numbers, let's call it. But even this, knowing how much the factory can only fulfill,
that makes me think, I mean, we're talking maybe, and I know you can't speak to this, but maybe a couple of hundred of pieces, maybe. And so you want to talk about something that's going to set a benchmark for a scarce Lionel piece that has some meaning to it. These Berkshires are going to be it. And for the folks that love the new scale Berkshires when they released back in November, this is almost a must-have, and this is really exciting.
Yeah, and obviously being the anniversary piece, these will ship in 2015.
Oh, nice. So, okay, so that's something that the company is committed to, is getting them out this year.
Yeah.
All right, I've got to break into our interview for just a second here, and we're going to do things a little bit differently. One of the great things about Notch 6 is the fact that we get news to you faster than anybody else. But the flip side of that is sometimes some of the details are a little fluid still. And in the case of this next product announcement, the details are still a little bit fluid. But we wanted to make sure we got the news out to you today. So I'm going to give you a really short overview of our next announcement from Lionel. And that is the LionChief Plus. What I'm referring to it as is the multi-mode. And to give you a really brief overview, this is a remote control that is very, very similar to the normal LionChief Plus remote control. And you can hear Henry here in the background, and he's just as excited about it as I am. This controller allows you to select up to 3 LionChief Plus locomotives and program them into this remote, and you can toggle from engine to engine to engine. So as I said, the details are still pretty fluid at this time. I got a chance to test drive it at the Detroit facilities. We're going to come back after York, and we're going to get a full interview with Lionel about this remote, and you'll be able to hear all about it then. But I'm going to pick back up with the interview and tell you a little bit about the test drive. But we just wanted to let you know here first that there is going to be a LionChief Plus multiple locomotive remote controller. Here was my experience with the test drive. And you let me test drive this new remote. They've got the first prototype of the remote here. And what's cool is, you know, for years we've talked about the funnel model, starting with the starter set and working your way down the funnel. I think this fills that next important gap because you've started with a LionChief remote. You've now acquired enough, you know, LionChief engines, and you get this multi-mode, and suddenly, you know, it was cool because I could sit there and I could toggle button 1, button 3, and I could start these 3 different LionChief engines, you know, independently of one another, and I can toggle back and forth between these 3 engines. And so basically, this is that next step in the bridge between LionChief, now the multiple, you know, remote controller, and suddenly, you know, you're really comfortable with the multiple remote controller and that idea of toggling back and forth between engines. And suddenly TMCC and Legacy doesn't feel like such a far jump anymore because suddenly you've had something to kind of swirl your toes in the water a little bit and play with and get used to that idea of, okay, I can switch back and forth between locomotives. So kudos to the Lionel team for finding another way to start bridging the gap there.
Yeah, I think you put it well. We don't want to muddy the waters with what we have with Legacy. Legacy is obviously our premier system. All the greatest things that we can do in realism and operation and whatnot really belong to that upper tier. But you get to put your feet in the water with LionChief Plus and with the multi-remote or universal remote that we now have. It really is a good bridge between the traditional world and the starting point of people and trains, and really this high caliber, super real and super fun high end of products with Legacy.
I want to talk about something else in the LionChief and LionChief Plus line. The other thing that's really cool is the LionChief and LionChief Plus line is expanding, and these engines are starting to do some cool things. You guys have the NW2 switcher prototype on the layout as well as the Camelback, and I got to test drive those here for a few minutes. And you know, what was really, really neat is you fire up the NW2, there's smoke coming out of the smokestacks. It sounds, you know, the sounds are right, the sounds are high quality, they're high quality rail sounds that we expect from Lionel. And suddenly, you know, these LionChief and LionChief Plus engines feel like cutting edge TMCC technology did, you know, not that far back. And it's nice to see that these engines are going to be quality pieces with quality features that
are at a reasonable price, and these engines do so much more than just a basic starter set locomotive, and to see that firsthand is really neat. You guys have to be excited about these.
Yeah, you bet. Obviously, the LionChief in its entry form has really taken over what we do at the ready-to-run level, and we're happy to see that. Now with the LionChief Plus, we now have a total of, I believe, 10 different engines types you have to choose from. And you got to play around today, Derek, with the Camelback and the NW2, which will also be showing and presenting at York and running those. Those are the most recent pieces that have come off the production line. And like you say, the features that you get with that, there really is a true tier difference between what you experience at the playful entry-level ready-to-run train set and what you get with the caliber of a LionChief Plus. And I think having that remote, having a good options for engines to choose from, there's a lot to build with Lionel, with wherever you want to be working from. And I think that this bridge that we have here, this LionChief Plus, has been a wonderful addition to the Lionel line that really fills a pocket, I think, for a lot of people.
It's been an exciting couple of years to watch this part of the line develop and watch you guys, not only with LionChief Plus, but Mike and I talked quite a bit about plug-and-play accessories and just simplifying the hobby. Simplifying, things that us hardcore modelers just we take for granted, and we think that it's accepted knowledge and fact. Mike was talking about the NASCAR guys this morning down in North Carolina walking in and they have no clue how to wire a traditional layout. They have no clue how to wire accessories, and you guys have completely rethought some of these processes. And for those folks that are coming into, these mass retailers at Christmas time and looking to get started, we are trying to simplify this process as much as possible, and it's very clear that that's a goal that Lionel is actively chasing.
Yeah, absolutely. We want product that fits the wide variety of customers that we have. And simplicity is important, and I think that's true in any of the tiers of products that we have. We want somebody who hasn't experienced trains to be part of that world, because we know how fun that can be, and we can know how important that can be in really your bonds with your family and your friends. There's a lot to share there, and there's a lot that's really cool there too. And it's the same with your LionChief Plus or your mid-range. We want this to be, or the plug-and-play system that we have started to release some of those pieces. It all makes the enjoyment even greater, because you can set things up easily. You can spend your time enjoying what you have with your friends and your family.
Two big blockbuster announcements that no one expected coming out of left field from Lionel this York. Some really, really cool things. I can't wait to show you guys the pictures. You'll see the pictures on notch6.com. If you're going to the York Show, you'll see these pieces at the York Show. Matt, anything else I missed before we get out of here?
No, not at all. I'm just amazed at your magic of going from North Carolina here to Michigan in a matter of seconds.
I got to go hop back in the DeLorean, fire up the flux capacitor, and get back home to Indiana here pretty quick. Matt, thanks for the time. It's great to see you, and we will catch up with you in Boston this summer.
It's been fun. Thank you, Derek.
Well, there you have it, a big 115th anniversary locomotive coming from Lionel, and these will get snatched up very, very, very quickly. Expect to hear more from Lionel on this announcement very, very soon. Speaking of hearing from Lionel, if you're looking for a one-stop shop for all your O-Gauge news, check out the brand new Notch6.com. We are more than just a podcast on the website now. You'll see a bunch of brand new news tabs that basically take all of the news feeds from your favorite manufacturers, Lionel, MTH, Bachmann, Atlas, and many others, and it congregates it all in one place. Basically, I'm referring to it as the new O-Gauge newspaper. Check it out. It's notch6.com, N-O-T-C-H, and the number 6.com. And I'm sure you will see on there as soon as Lionel makes announcements about how to get your hands on this 115th anniversary locomotive. If you're going to the show, have a great time. Make sure you stop by the Lionel booth. Check out all the new offerings, including this 115th anniversary locomotive. If you think the pictures on Notch 6 look good, wait until you see this thing in person. That's it for the moment, folks. We will be back here in May, and you may hear from me early part of May. We have some special things planned. We are working on finalizing them at this point, but Notch 6 is going on the road at the end of May. So instead of the usual show, you will again get a bunch of special coverage from a location that, we'll tell you a little bit more about it here in the next few weeks. So keep your eyes on Notch6.com, and I may even drop a special little audio clip in to let you know what we're going to do. Until next time, folks, please keep it in Notch 6.
Thanks for listening to Notch 6, the only podcast dedicated to O-Gauge trains. You can find every episode on our website, Notch6.com, or on iTunes and Stitcher. We'll see you again soon. Until then, be sure to keep it in Notch 6. The following has been a production of Notch 6 Media and is intended for private use only. This show may not be copied or redistributed without express written consent. This show copyright 2015, all rights reserved.